Justice Malala, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolute pleasure to be here.
Now, we're going to talk about your book. It's a bit of a mouthful of a name. Won't you introduce us to it?
Well, the book really was all about how do we, all of us, love South Africa? How do we participate in growing South Africa? So the title was all about, well, we've built this fantastic thing. It's the Rainbow Nation, Nelson Mandela, everyone loves us. But it feels, particularly over the past 5-6 years, as if things are not going as well as they could, that we seem to be losing our way on key issues. For me, walking to your studio today, I look around me and I see so many young people who are unemployed, and I think that's not what we want. 25.5% unemployment is just not the right thing. So I go through some of those issues that are of concern to me, to many South Africans, to business, to government, some people in government, and I say, these are some of those things. And towards the end of the book, despite the fact that, you know, it does sound like a heavy read, I try to offer some of my observations, some solutions, some of the way that we can act and turn things around.
Now, you start off the book by giving a bit of a historic perspective. Of course, it's in the context of our country's history, but you start specifically with your family's history, speaking specifically about your family's allegiance to the ANC, perhaps at the time. Why did you decide to start on that personal note? Why did you anchor the book in that?
I anchored my book on my family and myself, really, because, you know, people underestimate what we've achieved as South Africa. That someone like me, who grew up in a very poor village in Hammanskraal, north of Pretoria, that we dreamt of and managed to change the meaning of our lives, the places that we occupy in society. And that was because of the hope, because of the focus that we had right at the beginning of this democracy 21 years ago. And for me, I wanted to set that context that everyone, I believe everyone, can become somebody in this new South Africa. But we need to give them the opportunity to be that. If I could make it, as it were, I believe that other people should have the opportunity to make it, as it were. And therefore, I try to use my own story to then enter the politics of our country today, to try and say, on education, I was very lucky to be helped along by a fantastic teacher and fantastic teachers in the local school where I went. And so why is it today that our education system is in such trouble? Why is it that out of the 1 million kids who enter school, 12 years later, only about 200 pass matric? Where are the other 800,000? And these are, for me, the key questions that we have to ask. We cannot just lose 800,000 kids.
Now, I think to anybody who opens this book and just reads a few pages, what we're immediately struck by as the reader, as this is a no-holds-barred account of your perspective on the country. You're not mincing your words. I just want to read a quick paragraph where you say, the answer is heartbreaking. You're asking the question, what has happened to the dreams of our brothers and sisters? The ANC is compromised. It is weak. It is lost. It has lost its moral compass and its leadership of society. The man at its head is a reflection of what the party is: ill-disciplined, compromised, unprincipled. The fish rots from the head. Wow.
I try not to hold back. I try not to. I think we all have to stare the problem in the face. So if you look at what Kgalema Motlanthe has said recently, the former deputy president of the ANC, the former president of South Africa, about the state of the ANC, about the fact that he refused to serve in the ANC leadership in 2012 because he said, I would have a constant battle. This is a direct quote. I would have a constant battle every day just to keep them complying to the Constitution. that is damning. If you look at what Reverend Frank Chikane has said, if you look at what President Zuma himself said in his report to the ANC's National General Council in October, it was basically that the ANC has been bought, people are using money to get somewhere and so forth. Unfortunately for that meeting, I don't think the ANC actually did enough self-introspection and looked at the top of the ANC and said, perhaps, President Zuma, we need to talk about yourself and your role in what we have become. So I hope that people inside the ANC will read this and say, well, are we looking deeply enough internally, and are we taking the steps that will lead to South Africa actually having a good, safe landing, or is it going to be a very, very unhappy event?